look at this. And then we heard that the class was a little rough.
What do you mean by a little rough?
You could really get hurt. No protection. Anyway, so then he moved down from Flushing down to New York, and we went down to see him, and he did some stuff, and we said, "Oh my God, I have got, while I can still walk, learn how to do 1/1000th of that." And that was it, and I've been seeing him every day ever since.
And that's no exaggeration. Every day for going on 10 years now.
9.
9 years.
Yeah. You see it in the movie. One of the things I think is so great about the movie, forget about the plot, okay, is that when he walked, first you see him doing the form, and it's like, for once you get to really see it. It's so beautiful, so powerful, and so matched to the music. And then he does this thing when he comes out of the house, the two guys jump on him.
Yeah.
And you feel the power, which is, it's kind of all about power. And you feel it, it comes right through. For me, anyway, I don't know about other people. So, I'm in love with it, always have been in love with it. Master Ren, if I could ever do any of that, I'd be a happy student.
It's interesting.
And I love the weapons forms, for instance.
Yeah.
The guando and the spear. Oh my God, it's really great. Too bad we can't carry it on the street.
Or through the airport.
I did, but they took it away.
So what do you use now when you go to the airport? You bring
A gun.
Master Ren. Steph, I'm very struck by that scene where Master Ren actually goes through the form and transforms back to his younger self.
Right.
Master Ren, can you talk to us a little bit about the form you did there? Because for those of us that practice Tai Chi, it really is a combination of a couple of different forms.
You talked about it was film type, right?
Yes.
We had to film it as this film before, Stefan, I thought, we have idea to do small film, short film. I thought, okay, I thought what day, he give me schedule, and then, you lose our body, time, very busy. We don't have time to rehearse for this movie, only 2 days. Shoot 2 days, no rehearsal. I fly Minneapolis, we shoot the movie from Minneapolis, and we are fly there room, and just meet the camera group, nighttime, second day shoot, third day shoot, after come back to New York. I think only 2 days, no rehearsal.
And the film was shot where? In
Minnesota.
In Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, right. We are fly Minneapolis.
I think one of the interesting things about the film also is the use of music and Lou's music. And this is a question for both Lou and Steph. How did you choose the music and match it to the different scenes, if you will?
Well, I'm sorry, Lou.
I had said, you can't have this, but the sky's the limit on the rest of it. See what you think. And that's what he did, and he's got a real ear to match to video, because the music was about power. I think the movie's about power, and the music should have really, really hit you when Ren hits you. I just love that.
Steph?
And that's all where Stefan was placing things.
Yeah, what I did, I approached it, I chose songs that I felt fit thematically, both in what the songs were saying and expressing, and also what I was hoping to say and express in this rather abstract film. But what I did is I choreographed the music to the action. So, and what I mean by that is we didn't have a cool action scene, just said, oh, it'd be great to have this song behind. I really wanted to use certain pieces of songs or sequence it a certain way to match the art as much as possible. So, for instance, in the scene where Master Ren goes through this transformation, he goes through the doors of the barn, and he was able to repel these two guys attacking him, which is using a very traditional technique in Tai Chi, by the way. So the stuff is very traditional martial art, contrary to popular understanding, really. That song, the music used for that particular extended fight scene, I used 3 excerpts from a very famous song of blues called Street Hassle. And what I did was I took a piece from the end of the song, a piece from the middle of the song, a piece from the beginning of the song, and reversed it so as to fuel the fight scene a certain way. So it's certainly something that's never really been done before in a martial arts film that I feel really strong and happy about. Really using rich, deep, stirring music in a way that can not only fuel action, but can kind of frame it in a certain way like a good poem. It's hard to put to words.
Mr. Megas, the Jonas, the film, The Final Weapon and the film prior both used martial arts to tell the story in different ways. Talk to us a little bit about, the Anthology Film Archives and just the purpose of this event and how films like this actually bring new audiences to your endeavor here.
Anything like this that is a little bit different, of course, brings new, different audiences. But you see, when I was like 15 or so, I was in jiu-jitsu. So I'm willing to challenge any of you. And the first time I was challenged, really, when I was 15, were some big guys, and I had already some jiu-jitsu. I decided not to use it, but to just run. And I ran and just kept running, and he was chasing me, but he was like 30 and I was 15. And I kept running and he couldn't catch me. Then I read later in some books that's one of the tactics really, in Kung Fu, that run. Run, that was a very good tactic. But of course at Anthology we do not run, we embrace everything here. We're open to any manifestation in cinema. Beautiful. My own, I cannot say anything about this film. There are fragments, bits. I have to see 2-3 times before I can talk about the film. I remember an anecdote about Kenneth Anger, who was invited by Annette Michelson to see Eisenstein's Part 3 of Eye on the Terrible, which had some color sequences. And they saw it, and they're walking out, and Annette says to Kenneth Anger, "What? Did you like it? Did you like it?" Kenneth says, "Nothing." They walk out, and Kenneth still says nothing. And they part. For 10 years, Kenneth did not speak to Annette Michelson. And Annette Michelson met 10 years later and asked Kenneth, "What happened that you don't speak to me anymore?" And Kenneth said, "How did you dare to ask me when we were walking out of the film if I like it or not.
I might add that over 30 years ago, Andy Warhol, the Velvet Underground, appeared at Jonas's Cinematheque, which preceded this. It's like amazing. First show of the Velvet Underground with mixed media, what became known as mixed media. Was the only reason we had a place to play was because of Jonas. No Jonas.
And thanks to Barbara Rubin, who really brought you in. And I really would like on this occasion to say something. How did, because the position, the place, the importance of Barbara Rubin in that whole context is not really yet appreciated. But I think it was Barbara Rubin who brought you and the group, your friends, to the Cinematheque to practice and begin to. It was Barbara Rubin.
It was Barbara Rubin who brought us around to absolutely everybody. That's
Yes.
how we met everybody, through Barbara Rubin. A remarkable person to say.
It's amazing how it comes full circle back to the Cinematheque or back to Jonas with your new project.
Pretty amazing.
I'd like to open. Thank God.
That's pretty amazing. But I did a benefit for you a year or two ago.
Here at the archive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'd like to open the floor up to the audience if anyone has any questions. Why don't you just identify yourself and stand up, and if you could speak loudly so everyone else could hear, that would be great. Timothy.
Timothy, I just wanted to know a little bit more about the making of the film. You said it was done in 2 days. So nothing was rehearsed. These fight scenes in particular, how did that? Can you give us a little bit more about how that worked out?
Yeah, we did rehearse, especially the action scenes. We did, but very quickly. It was like, okay, guys, we've got 2 hours. We gotta get it. So it was
Because of the light.
and yeah, we were outside. A lot of it was dependent on light and also time too. We were working with a lot of limitations, but that is also the way a lot of action scenes are actually shot in Hong Kong, with a lot of the classic Hong Kong action films. The choreographer, the director will have a choreography idea or a choreography sequence. They'll have their guys teach it very quickly, and you've got a couple of hours to get it. Generally, especially for scenes that are perhaps a bit shorter. So I was kind of following that method because that's the method that I came up in film, but it's also the method that we needed for practical purposes. So it was quick, Timothy. Yeah.
The other question was that the lighting was so beautiful, and particularly in that building where Ren is getting ready to go outside. Was that the artificial light, or was that just all natural light coming in?
All natural light. All natural light. We had a terrific cinematographer, and the only thing that he did, and with me also kind of guiding it a bit, was just using the muted light deflectors for just certain key things. But we spent a lot of time in that barn to get that right. Yeah, we really did. Yeah. And the way I wrote the original script, it was very very much like that. Wanted the windows, the light to come in a certain way. When the guys were approaching the barn, how the light would go through the old wood. So it was a challenge for the cinematographer, but they did it. They really did it.
And Michael Wood, the bad guy, he taught, he worked a lot of movies in Hong Kong. He worked maybe 20 movies something. And Danny Yan, the Stefan before. He taught, I don't work movies before this style, only 2 days. There's no rehearsal. In Hong Kong, you do the movie, at least 2 weeks rehearsal practice. About the choreography, the design, 5 hours, and I will show me the fighting the 4 people, 2 people. do one time. Until one time, 12 hours until camera move, and then we are shoot now. Now shoot now, it's 12. And our people were surprised. Rehearsal, I'm saying rehearsal. Now it's 2 days shoot.
Not a lot, and the other thing too with the action is the original conception was that so this person goes through a series of movements that makes him pretty much invincible for 20 minutes, then he dies. So you can imagine someone who's invincible only requires a couple of 2 or 3 key shots to knock the opponents out of the way. So how do you convey that without it being too corny? Still keeping it realistic and still being true to this particular traditional martial art that's inspired us all up here. I mean, that's really what caused us to make this film. So because of that, I mentioned this because it kept the choreography tightly focused. It kept it just squarely focused on what is going on in the film, and it helped us get through it quickly.
And what is the significance of the book?
The book actually holds the roadmap, or the secret, if you will, the instructions of the movements that will then make you this way. All right, and Lou plays someone called the holder, and he passes the book on as needed to not only accomplish something, which is not defined clearly per se, but also to make sure it continues on. So Mike Woods, the person who appears to be a bad guy, is actually not a bad guy. He is one of the protectors. So much like
He's a bad guy.
so well, he didn't kill him. I mean, he was trying to, but then he just 20 minutes was up. So he was kind of surprised.
You know, there are all these beautiful pictures you can see if you read up on this a little bit of one guy handing the other, you know, the Chen book of movies and sequence. Those statues. It's incredible. Yeah, that's all real.
Yeah, I mean, that is all part of old Chinese martial arts lore. Some of it true, some of it not true, where things are codified, passed down in books, tightly held, just like a nuclear bomb. You know what I mean? It's tightly held. Only a few people are given a responsibility to use it, and only a few people are given a responsibility to protect it. So who's more important?
Hey, Steph, with the limited time we have remaining, what's next for this project? Because
finishing up a feature-length script with an interesting, fun story, a few cool surprises, and we're hoping we'll be done with that in about a month's time. We're hoping to turn this into a feature-length film.
And
Get
so,
financing and go for it.
So really, this is a project in motion, and you're moving to the next level after the script is complete to get financing. For anyone that's interested in actually learning Tai Chi and learning from Master Ren, he happens to teach in Manhattan 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Sundays at 440 Lafayette Street. And you can get more information if you go to rentaichi.com and or renguangyi.net. And you can learn more about that, or you can go to loureed.com to find out more. But anyone have any other questions?
I'd like to get a quick question that connects Lou to Anthology. We had a benefit a couple of years ago, and at the last minute, Lou decided, which I thought was quite amazing, to play to Maya Daren's Meditation on Violence, which is an amazing film that features a Wu-Tang master. And I was wondering what history Lou has with that film, and I know that you truly appreciated Maya Daren's work, but you chose kind of spontaneously, it seemed, the benefit to play to that film. I thought you did an amazing job. You're the only person who really played to the film that night in some ways. I thought it was really quite amazing. But I wondered what history you have with Maya Daren's work, and maybe that film is a martial arts film, given early experience.